Afternoon, good afternoon. Hello, 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 hello. I hope everybody is doing well. I'm Ben Kaplan. I'm the editor of iRun magazine. I hope, welcome. Let's go. We got my man John about to come on. Let's see if we can make this here for our conversation. Let's see. Gabby, welcome. Everybody, welcome. Thanks for coming on. All right. There we go. How we doing, buddy?
Oh, you know what? Stiff and sore, but I have my two medals in my ears, so I can't really hear you.
There you go. Feels good, doesn't it?
Oh, dude, I like that was bananas. That was a bonkers weekend. I mean, both amazing races, like Sulphur Springs Trail Race and Ottawa Marathon, and so yeah, why not do both in one weekend?
Wait, you know what, man? I'm putting my medal on. Oh,
Oh,
I
come
feel
on, let's
you're
go.
right. You're right. Everybody who's watching today, who raced this weekend, wherever you are, please put your medals on. Oh, what? Okay. Okay. Everybody put your medals on while we have our conversation and let's get into it. John, start us up. Tell us what you did this weekend, what you've been up to, and what your project's all about.
I love you, brother. So, yeah, Outrun the Darkness. The project was to celebrate 19 years in recovery, to do the Sulphur Springs 100K trail race, the Ottawa Marathon, all in one weekend, doing it with my running family and filming it all for a mental health documentary, which, by the way, if you out there are doing videography, do not stand on the top of a hill to film people who have run about 120K because they want to walk up that hill. They don't want to see your video camera at the top and be like, oh, okay, well, now I guess I have to run. So, you know what? It was a phenomenal weekend. I had some amazing support through not just the people that we brought there, obviously my wife and the support team, but also just like runners, right? People coming up to me and be like, "Thank you for shining a light on this. Thank you for talking about mental health." So, I mean, the documentary is going to be released in the fall, but even at this point, it's already paid dividends with respect to forwarding the conversation about mental health.
How do you use running and how has it been a turning point for you to sort of reclaim your life and get yourself back on solid ground? You mentioned your wife, you mentioned your kids. How were you able to get yourself back on a straight path?
I mean, had a lot of mistakes to start with, brother, but I mean,
Sure.
it's the opportunity to see food as fuel as opposed to as something to control. I mean, even now, I'm a teacher in May and June, and so historically, it'd be like, okay, time to restrict and control and and running is like, nope, you need to fuel in order to be able to run. You need to, I mean, came home and it's like, I really don't want to eat, but it's what I got to do to make sure that I can wake up the next day and be the type of human being that I want to be, which is someone who's able to do this, someone that's able to talk to you and engage in reading, and someone who's going to be a great model for my kids. And to be able to cross the Ottawa Marathon finish line and have them in my hands, like that's what this is about, is making it so that we leave this place better than the one that we found. And that's the second thing running gives me. It's the ability to engage in a community like yours, like Athletics Ontario, like Outrun the Darkness, where we're forwarding the conversation and we're saying to people like, look, we have this joy that comes from running, and yeah, you can do races, and yeah, you can have medals, and yeah, you can run a heck of a lot faster than me, like my friend Ben here, but there's also this whole plethora of ways that running can benefit your life, both emotionally and socially. And I mean, even the article that I wrote for y'all last week about the Mi'kmaq community of Nova Scotia, like they're using it as a way for cultural reclamation and language celebration and the ability to lift up from historical trauma. Like it's running can be so much. And so that's, I mean, the sliver of what running gives to me. And then there's this whole host of other things that it can benefit either myself or anyone else watching.
Well, I appreciate it. And it's great having you down with our community. And you're just a great ambassador for the sport. Is there a little chirping sound? Anyway. I don't know. Maybe it's on my thing. Anyways, so that's John's story. He's going to there's going to be more on it. Obviously, he's a great contributor to iRun. He's a great runner and writer, and he does his shoe reviews are always the best. So John and I, so just we'll continue to follow his journey, and we have something special planned for the Waterfront Marathon in the fall. So stay tuned to iRun and through John's channels as well. Now, tonight's mission, since I'm back from Ottawa, he's back from Ottawa, we've all been doing our run. This is our book club. We are talking about Caster Semenya's book, The Race to Be Myself. I think there's been so many terrific running books out there. We just know that running is just one part of a well-rounded existence. And John and I like to go through the running books, and we encourage as many different people that follow our channel and have a book that you like with the running platform that we can discuss. Caster's been an athlete I've long been interested in. She has different chromosomes, and it was a big controversy. She's from South Africa, and the IAAF eventually made her take drugs, and they made her ultimately kicked her out of the sport. And this is her book. You usually hear talk about her, but never from her. And this searing, terrific memoir, I thought really painted a picture that we hadn't heard before from a sport, from an athlete who we hear about but never from. John, what had struck you from the book, and what were you thinking as you made your way through?
I mean, as we got to the end, because I mean, we talked in previous conversations about the early story arc, but we last left off where essentially she was told, let's take drugs in order to continue running. And then it was, I might be banned from my sport in order to continue running, or I'm going to experience racism in order to continue running. So the one takeaway I had was how much this person had to sacrifice to do the things that we take for granted. And just this passion and joy for running and for sport in their case, and for competition and being able to push herself, like the amount that she had to sacrifice in order to do that. And it made me reflect on what we've talked about previously with respect to like privilege. Is you and I both sort of white males, like we have an exceptional amount of privilege to be able to run the streets whenever we want, or run in the middle of the night, or to be able to run and have no one look at us and be like, what are they running away from? And this was a macro version of all the different ways that she was prejudiced against, and all the barriers that she had in order to simply, quote unquote, simply run and still persevered. And I mean, was, to your point, like took drugs that not just impacted her running, but impacted her bone health and her, like they literally said, like you have a 4-year window, right? Like you can compete in one Olympic Games. And I remember something probably 15 years ago. So my mom's the head of Athletics Canada. And so I remember about 15 or 20 years ago, she had mentioned a study or a survey or something to that effect, where athletes were asked, would you sacrifice 10 years of your life for a Olympic medal? And it was an overwhelming yes. And it was, and I think about this, it's like they were told you have one Olympic cycle. That's it. Take these drugs to quote unquote make you a proper woman, because that's what they were saying, and she wasn't a proper woman. And so she sacrificed her health, her longevity for one Olympic Games because she was told, like, your hormonal profile doesn't fit what we say a woman's hormonal profile is, and therefore take drugs and fit in, or you can't compete in the Olympics ever again.
Yeah, I mean, and the book gets into it. I mean, to be this young girl from the village who didn't even speak the language, didn't know anything about what she was up against, as she was bullied by this billion-dollar federation. It's really striking. But what I found about the book, and why I think this book club can be so effective, is because to hear her voice and the way the narrative moves, and it's just such a masterful document that you feel like it was seared in her and that she wanted the opportunity to tell her story and she left no holds barred. What did you think about the writing style and how it captivated you? And did the narrative work for you?
We have referenced this before, like the emotional tone of each stage of their life mimicked how they were being treated in each stage of their life. So with the beginning part where she's, as you said, like she's growing up, she has parents who accept her, she has a village that accepts her for whatever. I mean, they talk about this is how God made you, and therefore you are perfect. And there's uh, flowery language is the wrong. It's not the term I want to use, but again, brain ain't working out that well. But it's this narrative that is long form, and then you get into they go into a university system that again is starting to be more prejudiced, and it's shorter sentences. It seems like more personal language, less um,
Towards the end, we get into all the legalese.
there you go. And so then it she goes through the being tortured by the medical system in
It's a
order to
good word.
right and so it's very short sentences. It's very curt language. It's very justifiable, inflammatory language. And then to your point, the last little bit has this. It's about all the IAAF and how they're going to treat women and what chromosomes and what hormonal profiles and to your point, it gets very legal. So it was interesting to me that the tone reflected those different parts of her life. And now I would further be interested in what does it sound like now?
I mean, I tell you, this book, I would love to get the audio. I don't know if there's a version of this, an audio with her reading it. I would love that. I would love to sit down with her. I mean, I think what we're trying to do as runners, or what I'm trying to do with the magazine, is just get different perspectives so we realize that we're all part of this same community and we can like walk in someone else's shoes. And I think that's why, I was so adamant about launching this book club and reading her book just to get that perspective. And I think for us, yeah, to remember our privilege and that we get to do. Sometimes I see runners and they find their running becomes onerous or burdensome or something, and it's a good reminder to find the joy in our sport, which it always comes back to, and which I'm always trying to preach.
Well, and so okay, we've got again amazing book. I thoroughly enjoyed reading this. I mean, clearly, like I'm
Yeah, I
going
love that. I
go
love
right.
that.
Like, and so for you, what is a perspective that you would like more insight into? Because I mean, clearly, you and I are going to keep talking books. We're going to keep doing the I Run Book Club. Like, what is a perspective or some perspectives that you feel you would like to learn more about?
Well, I just find it interesting. I mean, I've always been fascinated by her. And I think why I liked it was because it was her voice coming straight at me. So it was like, I like these memoirs. And I know, I'm forgetting her last name, but the woman who just wrote a book, Mary, with Nike, about Nike, when they didn't want to, with her. I can't remember what it was. Sabrina's on here. Sabrina, if you remember, what's the book called that you recommended for us to read next? It's just sometimes to get this story unfiltered is just terrific. And I think I wrote a running book and it was sort of service oriented. Like, this is what you do for the half marathon. This is what you eat. This is sneakers. And then my friend Nick Thompson just wrote a book, which is more like the Murakami book, which is sort of like why we run or what I talk about when I talk about running, where she gets into the philosophy of it and what, why it's good for you. And then there's the other thing where it's just these interesting characters who get to speak to us directly. So, I mean, and I like them all. I mean, I find I take something for all of them. So I find, the full spectrum, I'll read all this stuff.
Well, I guess we've got our next book to try to figure out.
Yeah, I forget what it was, but as ever, I don't know what to do in a sense to get the people that like to make it open so everybody who's joining us now on the live feed, we implore you to make it your book club. Tell us what you want to read alongside us. I mean, the idea is to get a variety of voices into our community and into our network so we can just hear more. Yeah, just to know what makes the sport so great and walk in somebody else's shoes. And, whether it's the philosophy of running or tips or stuff like that, or, I just want to be open to the whole experience and the whole spectrum.
Well, and I think going back to the beginning of the conversation, like you asked me what running does for me, and I've enjoyed with the Athletic Center running podcast, with writing articles for you, with doing this book club, is you start to learn just how massive and
Yeah.
how faceted running can be
Yeah.
for all individuals, whether it's like they can volunteer. I go back to Quentin Jacobs's buffet analogy, right? Like you go in and you don't always have to go to the popcorn shrimp. Like there's this.
I do actually have to do that.
So it's I like learning about why other people love running and other people's
So,
experience
so
running.
do I.
And
Yeah.
and sometimes it's like, yeah, you know what, I find joy in that too. And I mean the whether it's charity or pacing or what have you. And then I read a book like this and I was like, you know what, I'm never going to be that level of competition, but it gives me an empathy for other runners and a sympathy for other runners. And then beyond that, just expanding expanding so many different things, like understanding the diversity of Africa and how sometimes, right? Sometimes we, at least for the Western world, it's like, oh, it's Africa. It's like not realizing that it's a continent from sort of the equator all the way down, right? And so it gives you the understanding of the diversity of experiences, even within just a small country that is South Africa. And so, I mean, learning from that. And okay, I mean, before we close it out, what's one non-running thing you learned from this book? Because I mean, for me, it was a lot of the like gender politics and, as you said, as we said, torture that these individuals undergo. But I mean, what's something that wasn't running for you?
Well, what's interesting to me, and I kind of get bent on it because I'm writing a book right now, and I found that I was with her right from the beginning for the tone. I just found myself really like I've read so many running books and I've read so many memoirs and I've read just so that I just really found, and which is why I just would implore as many of us as possible to check out this book. I just like I liked reading the book stylistically, and I liked you have to like what I'm doing. My new book is in the first person about neuroplasticity and stuff, and it's me going through the journey, and I keep like trying to get the tone. Like it doesn't matter it just going with the tone. I just felt like I would follow her anywhere. So I think my big takeaway was just, I knew her story, but I just liked the way she presented herself as an athlete, and I liked the way she talked. And I just like the book I found it a rousing read. And I found myself really empathizing with her. And again, really like it was a quick read, a strong read. She didn't miss words. And I liked the tone, so I really just thought it was, an excellent memoir from top to tail.
Well, brother, let's do the plugs. I Run Nation, Ben Kaplan, editor extraordinaire, John Shep, host of the Athletics Ontario Running Podcast. This has been book club number one in the I Run Book Club series, The Race to Be Myself, Caster Semenya. We know you aren't online, but on behalf of Ben and I, thank you for writing the book.
Yeah, that's the right way to say it.
It was amazing to launch this. We are going to continue this because I love talking to my friend Ben. And please follow I Run Nation, Outrun the Darkness. Thank you, my friend.
Let's go. Congrats to everybody who raced this week, and congrats to everybody who's going to run this week. Keep going. Keep going like my man John. Talk to you.
Bye.
How do I shut this thing down?